Welcome back to the Creators Podcast. My name is Julian. We have our co-host Ben.
Hey.
And as a guest today, we have Justin Odisho. So Justin is a YouTuber. He has over 900,000 followers, over 100 million views, which is absolutely incredible. And he focuses mainly on YouTube tutorials. Does anything from Premiere Pro to After Effects to Photoshop. Welcome to the show, Justin.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Awesome. So honestly, I just wanted to mention it's a kind of a funny story of how we actually got to know who you are. For anybody who's listening, this is the first time we're chatting. So Justin doesn't know much about us, but we know a lot about him from his YouTube channel. And honestly, we started, as a lot of you guys know, we started in the photography field. And whenever we started moving towards video work, of course, there's only one place where you can learn stuff, and that's not school, actually. That's the school of YouTube. And the first person we started learning from was actually Justin. The masking video that you had was the first one we noticed, and we've honestly been using a lot of your stuff ever since. Which honestly, it's kind of cool to get to know you now in person from all the tutorials. I'm sure you've saved a lot of people's careers with what you've done. But yeah, tell us just a little bit about how you started on YouTube.
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty good explanation. It's always hard to explain, but I just started as a hobby. I was into using Photoshop and things like that, and I started just posting videos on YouTube around like 2007-ish, just for fun, like video game edits, things like that. My account kept getting copyrighted because I was using music and things like that. So in 2011, I just enjoyed posting videos, but I wanted something safe to post. So I thought I would share some of my Photoshop like hobby and knowledge. I seen other people were sort of enjoying. There was a little bit of content around like learning Photoshop, so I thought maybe I'll try to teach some stuff. And at first, I think I just posted like my very first video ever was posting like a video of me just photoshopping a tattoo onto somebody. It wasn't a tutorial, it was just like something. And then I slowly started doing tutorials, and I just kept doing it. And then as I was finishing, that's 2011, now it's 2022, but around 2017, I was graduating. I was in college. I was around graduating time, and I decided to try to convert it to a full-time business. And I expanded into teaching other Adobe softwares like video editing, not just photo editing, and uploading every day and being more consistent and launching my own products and website and podcasts and all that. And that's and it started to work a little bit, and that's where we are now.
Just a little bit. It just worked a little bit though.
It's always a struggle.
Yeah.
Rice and beans, baby.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, again, it's like for anybody who doesn't know, it's especially there was a period of time I remember you mentioned in one of your podcasts that you made 100 videos in 100 days. For anybody who has no idea how difficult that actually is, we'll just never know. It's like there's just no way to explain the struggle. So tell us a bit about how did that go for you? 100 videos in 100 days.
Yeah, actually, I've done that like twice, I think. But at one point, I was even uploading twice a day, like at noon and midnight, when I was trying to vlog, see what that was about. It's not really my thing much, I guess. But back then, like everybody had to try it. But yeah, uploading every day can kind of drive you crazy. Luckily, what I do is a little bit like less, like I can sit at the computer and do it. I don't have to go around and plan camera shots, but it is definitely tiring. And I think the hardest part for any creator out there is coming up with the idea. So it's not that I can't sit down and record every day, but the hard part is generating like, okay, what am I going to teach today? Or what haven't I already taught? What's like a good tutorial? And then like getting all the materials together. Like the actual recording part, doing the lesson only takes however long the video is, like 30 minutes, something like that.
That's I was actually going to say though, like you're talking about keeping track of all the ideas that you've already done. That must be like incredibly difficult because you've made hundreds of videos. I mean, like how do you track like what you have made before? Because I'm sure there's things like 3-4 years ago where you're like you, I can't remember. I can't even remember what I did last month, like let alone that long ago, right? So
Yeah, it's actually a really good question. I have like 1,000 videos on my channel about, and one point is for anyone out there that's also a creator, like sometimes you don't be so afraid to repeat ideas. Sometimes, like I don't try to repeat. If I have one solid tutorial, like let's say on a certain masking or certain transition, I try not to repeat it unless. But the one thing is, the softwares are always updating. So like, let's say there's a tutorial from 2017. Now things are a little bit different. There's new tools in 2022, and that gives me room to make an updated sort of version. Another thing is examples. So like, let's say I'm teaching masking. Yeah, I could show how to use the pen tool in a video, and that could be it. But well, especially when you're learning, like a lot of times people like to learn through examples. So it could be the same general tutorial, but I show like two different, like one video will be masking like, some sort of clips together. And then another video could be the same thing, but just sometimes the whole video changes based on using different clips. It's a different process. So that's another thing. And, but also in general, like I just kind of remember like, oh, I've already covered this. And I don't know, I just sort of have a sense. Sometimes I will make a whole tutorial and then sometimes I'll like get deja vu and I'll think, wait, I've already made the fun. I won't, if it's like a complete duplicate, I won't post it. But also lastly, for anyone out there, I keep a notes app list of ideas. So I have a long list of ideas and I try to go through whenever I'm in need and pick through those before I would repeat an idea.
Right.
Awesome. And out of curiosity, so I know you mentioned that you started, well, when you started YouTube in general, you were kind of very into gaming, making gaming montages and all that stuff. How did you go from that to creating tutorials to help people out with After Effects, Premiere, and all that stuff?
Sure. Yeah. Well, back in the day, like there wasn't YouTube in like 2005, or I think it started in 2006. And, but there were still tutorials people would teach on blogs and websites. And actually a lot of the tutorials were written. So it'd be like step-by-step writing and then like a recipe sort of is. And I enjoyed posting stuff to YouTube and I enjoyed editing. It wasn't necessarily that I only cared about gaming. And like I said, the copyright thing started happening. So it was just like a fun, safe way for me to like share my hobby. And it seemed like something that I could do. Like, let me just share educational, helpful sort of ideas in Photoshop. And it just sort of evolved from there into just seeing what people responded to. And then also like, oh, I taught this, I can teach that, I can teach that. It was never really just about gaming in general. And nowadays I don't even really play video games.
So I was also going to ask, like, since there's like so many different things you can do in Premiere, and like you said, like it's always evolving, there's always updates, there's always new things that you can do. How do you keep on top of all that? And like, what's your process like when you're trying to, teach yourself, right? Because obviously the things that you teach people, you also have to learn at some point.
Yeah, and actually that's a good, by teaching is one of the best ways to learn. So like one of the reasons I know everything so well in the software is because I've forced to like use it regularly for years. So, and teach it, to be able to teach something, you have to understand it well enough to like put it simply. And I try not to teach things that are out of my understanding too much. Like there's certain specific, like what is this like red, green, blue pixel, like like what's the math behind that, and certain formats and exporting things. Like I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on all the computer science behind, but in general, editing is sort of like riding a bike where, once you know the general foundation, it doesn't, like, it's just different variations of the same ingredients sort of. So like if you know how layers work and you know how to cut and you know how to blend and blending modes and just the staples, like then every transition or every sort of effect can be broken down just into like, oh, like I can recognize that's a directional blur, and then they masked it, and then, oh, that's like the overlay blending mode. And you can sort of like recognize patterns in that.
So would you say, like, I don't know, well, let's say back in 2016 when I guess Sam Kolder was first popping off, and mostly I feel like that had to do with the fact that like this kind of transition heavy video style that really showcased kind of the life of a young traveler doing like luxurious kind of experiences, getting to see the world. Obviously that started off a huge craze around that. So was a lot of it kind of like, oh, okay, I'm seeing like these effects that he's doing and I know how they're done, or like I know how, you know, other people are doing them, so let me show you like anybody who might be aspiring to be something like that, how to do it.
So actually that relates to a good point also about like coming up with ideas, is like although the basics always remain the same, like someone will always use them in a way that captures people in like a trending way. So whether it's Sam Kolder or whether it's just like a popular music video, a good way to come up with ideas like we were talking about earlier is like, oh, I already taught how to use the pen tool, but like there's this crazy new #1 music video or Sam Kolder thing, and they're using the pen tool to mask, and people are interested in that. They might not know what it is. Let me break it down using them as an example. But I actually never really, I learned about Sam Kolder through people like wanting to figure it out, and I've seen it.
Right.
But as far as like doing stuff, like there's in my gaming videos, like in 2006, 2007, like people were doing like zooms and whooshes and all that stuff, even in those videos. But yeah, like there was a wave of like travel sort of Instagram, like blogger people that came out with that style of like cool montage that definitely surged. And in general, I just think somewhere around 2017, 18, I don't know, then the pandemic happened, like a lot more people wanted to start being creators on YouTube and to learn video editing. I don't know exactly what happened, but I think even if you check like Adobe's user base, like it's probably grown a lot.
Yeah.
And we've all sort of benefited or seen the effect of that.
Totally. And out of curiosity as well, you were kind of mentioning kind of a bunch of names out right now. Do you have a favorite YouTuber at the moment that you either kind of look up to or whose stuff you really love? And it doesn't have to be in the creative space. Could be kind of anybody that you're into right now.
Honestly, yeah, I'm always watching like weird stuff on YouTube. Usually nothing related to like, I never watch anyone who like makes tutorials or stuff. Like I'll be watching some ridiculous thing, like some debate or some like, I'm always into some weird thing. Like I'm really into chess right now. And so like,
so are we.
I'll be watching like the chess streamers, or like sometimes I'll just like watch like some sort of debate at a university, or like some like just stuff that has nothing to do with what I'm doing.
Yeah, totally. No, it's interesting. And for anybody who doesn't know, pretty much after the Queens Gambit came out on Netflix, like literally chess soared by like 600%, I think was one of the stats that I saw, which is actually crazy. And funny enough, both me and Ben got into it probably like a month before that. So whenever people are just like, oh, you were just like one of those people, we're like, no, we were there 1 month before. But yeah, do you have any favorite chess YouTubers at the moment? You have like Gotham Chess and some other guys as well?
Yeah, I think I followed them all. I like Daniel Naroditsky.
Oh, he's my favorite too.
He's a grandmaster, and he like he just does like real like educational breakdowns of games. But yeah, the series was good as well. Actually, this is completely off topic to anyone who's interested in video editing. I also am really into books and reading and stuff. So I found the Queen's Gambit at a thrift store a while, before the show came out, because it's based on a book. And I remember I had gotten it for a while and I just never read it. I still haven't read it, but I watched the show. But I also got into chess like slightly, maybe like a year before. For some reason, it's just gotten really popular, and it's ridiculous to think. Maybe we can tie this back into YouTube. Like it's ridiculous to think that some of these channels, like you mentioned, these chess channels have like millions of subscribers and like millions and hundreds of millions of views like regularly, and that's like how do you post new content when it comes to that niche? It's like, okay, well, there's infinite amount of games, and they just like there's a never ending amount of content for them to like go through.
Absolutely.
No, and it's so impressive as well because like you look at guys like Gotham Chess and other ones, like especially Gotham Chess, like that guy literally posts like once or twice a day, and I'm just like, oh my god! And all the videos are like 20 to 40 minutes long, and you're like, the amount of dedication that you have to like put to just like make those videos daily is just insane.
And I think what's a good, sorry to cut you off,
no worries.
Forget, like as a YouTuber, systems is really important. So Gotham Chess probably has like a dedicated tripod thing like set where you can just press record and like it doesn't have to build up and break down a set every time. And I as well, I have all my softwares and things ready. So if I want to make a tutorial, so I think that'll help anyone out there aspiring, like get the systems and the tools so that you can work quickly. And then also, oh gosh, what was I going to say? Now I'll remember it, but go on.
I was just going to ask you a question about that. Actually, like, when do you feel like you figured out, okay, now I've got a system down. Now I know like that I can just pump out some videos and I don't have to worry about like all these moving parts?
It definitely builds up over time. Like, first you have to get the tools. So,
yeah,
when I was just starting out, like get a camera, get a computer, get a microphone, figure out like what softwares you need to record, figure out like your levels. And then once you make like one full complete video, then you can, all the moving parts of it, then you can start to get into a habit. It's the same way you like, I don't know, do your dishes or do your laundry at home. Like you get the tools and then you start to learn like, okay, let me just, and also like batching, like sometimes, you write down all your ideas and then maybe one day you sit down and record like 2 or 3 of them. And then maybe you block off a certain time to edit 2 or 3 of them, or you schedule things. I think you just build it over time, like a muscle sort of. And also it depends on what's working. Like
right.
Posting regularly, you don't want to just hoard everything. Like by posting regularly, especially with teaching. Oh, that's the other point I was going to make is with these YouTubers, like even the chess ones, it seems like you can never go wrong with sharing something that's useful or educational or something like that. You can be entertaining and fun, but that's harder. Like for me, I'm just an educational channel and try to help people. And that's why I think anyone even subscribes to me.
I mean, again, it's like we were those people who just needed the advice, and it's like, again, you put it down in such a short, nice way, and the explanations are incredible, and I feel like that's why people probably stick. And actually, kind of going back a little bit, you mentioned previously that you just love books, right? And I know one thing you mentioned in one of your videos is that when you first started out on YouTube, you were like, I wasn't really sure what I was doing, so I started reading a bunch of stuff. And I know you kind of mentioned the name Gary Vaynerchuk, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. And if you're not, he's this pretty much marketing guru out of New York City. He runs $1 million company, just does crazy stuff. And you also mentioned kind of the 4-hour work week and all the books like that. Is there any specific books that you would recommend to people to read, or is there one specifically that inspired you the most?
Yeah, I think those books, like, I think that's like very cliche. Like, you find the Gary Vaynerchuk and you find the thing. I think I don't know, I just ended up doing it. But I think what was more important was the motivation behind it. Like, not necessarily one specific book, but when I just decided, okay, I'm going to try to take this seriously, turn it into a business. So let me read like 10 different books on business, or let me read like all the top articles on how to start a business or channel. Or I think the thing that's important is, because the books and things will change over time. And nowadays, like I would just much rather read like some novel or some book like that. But it's the drive behind trying to find the materials, or listening to a podcast like this if you find it useful, just trying to find the materials and then taking action on it. So I don't know whether it was the cause or the effect that I found the books, but I've probably like a mixture of both.
Right. Do you shoot at all, or are you mostly just into the editing aspect of stuff?
Well, I think if you're a video creator, like you have to know a little bit of everything, especially as a YouTuber. I wouldn't say I'm as much of an expert on the camera side, but yeah, I do. I know how to like shoot. I know like exposure, all the basics, like
so would you
shooting in manual, lighting, audio, but I'm an expert on the editing. What were you gonna ask?
I was just gonna ask, like, do you ever just go out on the weekend and, I don't know, shoot some B-roll and cut it together or something like that? Like, what kind of, I guess, as an editor, inspires you to like keep getting better and like, yeah, I guess keep getting better.
Yeah, I do sometimes. Like when I went to Japan and I brought my camera and I shot a bunch of B-roll, which you could see in a lot of my tutorials. And I tried vlogging for a little bit, but nowadays I'd say like my camera skills are more functional rather than like trying to make like a cool like video. Like I know how to set up a camera to shoot, let's say, an interview. And even like what you guys are doing right now, like recording a Zoom interview or making a video for YouTube. I have all the skills there to functionally use them. And what keeps me motivated is just my channel has built up into this sort of educational platform, and I enjoy helping and I enjoy helping people learn the softwares because I think it's important, and I think everyone could benefit from learning Photoshop or from being able to navigate these softwares to express their ideas in a video or photo medium. I think it's a powerful medium, especially with the internet, and a lot of the way we communicate nowadays is through photo or video. And so I think it's sort of just helping people be more literate, and that is motivation enough. And I've kind of found this like groove and space that I fit in, that I enjoy doing it. I don't take it for granted, you know?
Right. Do you have a favorite editor, actually? Like whether it's movie related or anything like that?
I think a lot of people might, because I teach so many effects and stuff. I think I tend to prefer edits that are more simple and clean. Like you said, like in a movie, like you normally won't find crazy like whooshes and things in a movie. But I don't have one specific editor that I have a favorite of. I mean, there's a lot of very talented people that I follow or that I've interviewed on my own podcast as well, and I respect all of those people. But I guess for me, I mean, and there's definitely people that I see their work, especially in like the 3D and special effects space, like in 3D and things, and even drawing, I'm not really as good in those things. So when I see someone make a really awesome 3D After Effects thing, I respect the work it takes. But I don't really have a favorite editor. I appreciate just nice, clean edits or clean YouTube videos, documentaries, or even films. I appreciate the edits in them. I guess I don't normally seek out the name,
right,
which is a shame, huh?
I mean, hey, no, it totally makes sense. Honestly, that's one thing we found very difficult, especially over the last little bit. Like anytime I watch a movie, it's like I'm just like, oh, like I'm looking at the lighting, I'm looking who the director is, and I'm just like, my God, I'm not actually enjoying the movie at all. But yeah, and speaking of that as well, of editing specifically, so I'm sure you really enjoy editing if you've been doing it for so many years at this point, right? Is there any projects that you're either working on right now or kind of thinking of working in the future in the editing space that you're just, like really looking forward to?
If you can say them.
Well, most of the projects I work on now are personal projects. Mostly I'm lucky enough that I just get to try to focus on creating more content, educational content to build out my channel. And I have little fun side projects like the podcast, and I've even dabbled in trying to do like review things, but I don't know about that. But one idea I had was I wanted to take a lot of my tutorials and try to make them into the YouTube Shorts. So this whole Shorts thing that's coming out, especially with platforms like Instagram and TikTok doing all the vertical short videos. I wanted to see if I could take like some of my shorter Photoshop or After Effects or Premiere tutorials and turn them into like quick tip shorts. And I don't know, maybe I could, if I could go crazy, I could do my entire catalog of 1,000 videos and make like 50 or 100 shorts. But that's what I was going to work on next.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. Especially, I mean, it's pretty crazy to see how like shorts and Instagram Reels started blowing up, especially after the TikTok craze, which I guess is technically still happening. But what are your thoughts actually on like vertical format videos and kind of the format that TikTok has been going compared to YouTube?
I see a lot of people get angry about it, like when I use a vertical example clip, and a lot of people think it's holding the camera the wrong way. I personally don't think there is like a definitive objective right orientation for a video to be, because the reason it's even horizontal in the first place isn't due to some, as far as I understand, isn't due to some objective reason. It's just due to like the physical sensor being a certain rectangular shape and then that turning into the standard shape for a film strip and the TV. And there isn't quite necessarily a reason why it isn't a square or a vertical rectangle. And I think although I prefer watching stuff in a rectangular normal format, sometimes, there's room for, when you FaceTime someone, that's the one thing, screens, TVs, everything are shaped that way, but phones are shaped to be held this way. So I don't think you can objectively say that it's not right, because, the phone medium is one of the most popular, if not the most popular screen that we all look at every day. And that is vertical. So it's kind of, there's room for both.
I was actually Yeah. Well, that actually kind of leads into my next question. I mean, you've been on YouTube as a creator for so long. I mean, YouTube hasn't been around that long, but like it's been 10 years, 11 years?
Yeah, I've probably been 10, 11 years posting.
Yeah. So how would you say, from the perspective of someone who's created as YouTube has evolved for so long, like, how would you say that content creation on the platform has changed, whether it be strategy or like what do you see creators doing now that they didn't do when you started, and how has that kind of like evolved?
It's hard. Yeah, it's been hard. I mean, it's like I remember things vaguely because it's been so long, but I remember monetization rolled out, and it used to be, I think, a lot more like, and maybe I was younger too, so I felt like you had these people like, the Shane Dawsons and like the YouTube celebrity people. And there's a certain type of video they made like in front of the camera, sort of skits and really like planned out content. And it just seemed there seemed to be like out of reach from like, home video type of stuff. And I think now, or as it's evolved, you do have way more variety of niches, and there doesn't seem to be this like specific category of thing that's like big professional YouTuber and home YouTuber. I mean, also technology has just improved so much that now you can record great videos from your phone. You don't have to have a scripting and like a set and all that. I think it's gotten a lot more away from traditional media, but now you have a little bit of everything. You can find like really homegrown stuff and really like polished things. And there's a new category of big YouTuber now. I don't know. It's basically, it's the second one of the biggest websites on the world, and there's just like everything that you'd want you could find there. But it seems that the biggest stuff is just usually the stuff that appeals to the most people, if not kids. And yeah, I don't know. There's just so much to go on based on that topic. What do you guys think?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, you know, just as someone, I guess, who hasn't been too involved in creating, like I think Ilya, same for you. Like we've both been more just on YouTube to watch people like yourself or whatever it might be. It's interesting how, like you were just saying, you know, it seems like in the past there was really kind of fads that happened within YouTube, and that like would really blow up, and then all of a sudden everybody was doing this one thing. But it seems like that has kind of died off now over the last couple of years. Like the last one I can really remember was like vlogging, when like Logan Paul, Jake Paul, Casey Neistat, like all these guys were vlogging every single day. And then when you kind of had the thing happen with the suicide forest, and like everything started to really like fall off. And since then, it seems like people are just kind of making what they want to make, and it's not like any fad has necessarily taken over.
Yeah, there's like eras of YouTube.
Yeah.
Like the Jake Paul era, and then there's like, I feel like right now we're in like some sort of Mr. Beast era.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's far removed from like your average everyday YouTuber, but I also think it's become a lot more legitimized as a platform, because now, you know, back then it was just YouTubers, but now it's like, now you have traditional media and famous people and celebrities. They want to have their YouTube channel, and, you know, your business has to have a YouTube channel. The other thing that's changed a lot is like the algorithms and the search. Like, I mean, you've seen other fads come and go. Like people used to be able to clickbait the title and thumbnail just by like, you know, putting a hot girl on the thumbnail or something. And like now you like, there's things like that don't exist. And also like the way that your feed used to be chronological, and now it's like a lot more suggested in homepage content. And I think subscribers matter less now for some people. Also like monetization, I think options and opportunity has grown as like a lot more money has come into being spent on digital, like places like YouTube rather than traditional. And I would hope that, you know, things continue to improve. I think there's also issues like, you know, as YouTube, as more things have come on, you've had issues, like you said, like the Logan Paul thing, but also like depending on, I don't know, it seems like you wouldn't want to be, I'm lucky that my content is like educational and safe. I don't think that you could post anything you want on YouTube in that way, which as you shouldn't, but I don't know. YouTube is a private company technically, but it seems like it should be a utility like water or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would run it. I've heard someone say that. I forgot who I heard say that.
Well, YouTube, if you're listening to this. No, it's actually very interesting, but you're really right, especially like over the last few years. Like in the very beginning, it's like people posted kind of what they wanted to post, but now it's more like, even though they post what they want to post, like it's very specific to who their sponsor is. And I feel like there's not many people left that will kind of still do whatever they want to do. It's like a lot of it's to kind of, you please the sponsors, you please all the other people, you please your fans. Like you're doing it more for everybody else and not for yourself. So it's going to be interesting. What will be the next thing on YouTube?
Would you say there's like for yourself specifically, how would you say that, you know, as YouTube has evolved, have you changed the way that you talked about like certain thumbnails, certain, you know, titles being more attractive to the algorithm, things like that? Has the way that you've done or created your content and done your YouTube strategy, has that evolved as well over the years to kind of like match that?
Yeah, I think it naturally definitely has. Well, one, you just get better at understanding like, this is a good video, this is a good title, like people will click on this. You just sort of intuitively know your audience. And after making 1,000 videos, I know which videos are going to perform well and which ones are just going to be like more niche. Technically things have changed. Like back in the day, like tags were really important, and now tags aren't really important at all. And also titles and thumbnails are really important. I think Back in the day though, like it would also be very keyword heavy. So you'd put like Adobe tutorial, pen tool, blah, 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 like high definition, whatever. But nowadays, like YouTube analyzes your actual video, sees what you're saying, sees what's shown in the video, and just puts it in front of the right people. And it's a lot more AI. And you could name a video something like a little bit more human, like, you know, this editing trick will save you a ton of time. And I'm always learning. I'm still learning what people will click on. It's always really hard to try to go away from the keyword thing. Like I got to make sure I put Adobe tutorial in this and how to, and like try to make it more human. But experimentation, I think, helps a lot. Like you spend all this time making a video, it sometimes can be uncomfortable to, what if I spent all day making this video, and what if I want to try an experimental title, all that work will go to waste. But sometimes it can be, I think, rewarding. And a lot of the biggest YouTubers or most successful will emphasize how important it is that before you even make a video, like you have a good idea, like I was saying earlier, in mind, and you already can sort of visualize what the title and the thumbnail might be, which depends on the kind of content you make, I guess. If you're vlogging and you just see what happens in your day, then you might have to come up with an interesting title and thumbnail after. But if you're making a specific video, then you can try to come up with the idea first.
Yeah, totally. And actually, out of I'm sure a lot of people are very, very curious. How much time goes into it for you? Of course, it depends on the video, but how much time would you say you kind of average out to make one video, to kind of learn everything that you need to learn, and also just like make the video and upload it?
It really varies. Like sometimes I'm doing a really quick tutorial on like a new update tool. So it's a quick tool, but it's worth making a video on. It might take me, 30 minutes to prep and record, and then like another hour, 30 minutes, something like that to cut it down and upload it, because I have all my microphone ready, I'll have my amp settings. But sometimes like when I was uploading every day, sometimes I didn't have a nice set idea. So sometimes I would just spend a couple hours just like looking at different stock footages, seeing playing around, trying to come up with an effect or idea. Sometimes I would record and I wouldn't like it and I would scrap it, and it would take me, so I would say ballpark, on the fast side, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours. On the long side, maybe like 4 hours, something like that. But if it's a podcast too, sometimes I've done interviews. The interview is taking 2 hours, and it's taken 2 hours to edit it. So yeah, like 1 to 5 hours, depending on the video.
Well, I actually had a question regarding your podcast. So this is kind of a perfect segue. Do you have I've listened to a few of your podcasts. You've already talked to like a ton of people who I might say for us would be, dream guests. Do you have someone in mind for the future that you look at and be like, man, wouldn't it be crazy to have this guy or this girl on?
I think one thing, like I had to start doing the Zoom podcast. It got so hard to travel in the past couple of years. Yeah. I really would prefer to get back to doing it in person. And actually, after having like so many like your standard YouTuber guests on, I kind of like the idea of like, what if I just, interview like a regular person, but from an interesting angle. Like I've seen podcasts like, there's that chatting with series, like chatting with like a gambling addict, or like just different interesting stories, sort of like Humans of New York or something.
Yeah.
But also I would probably just like to interview people that I find interesting, like we were talking about the chess stuff earlier, like cross field stuff. Like instead of always interviewing like another editor or YouTuber, like interviewing perhaps a content creator in a completely different field, or like someone. I find that I'm always like involved in these trends coming up, and it'd be nice to have like interviewed all these chess people like a year or two ago as it was blowing up, rather than like wait till everything's super popular then do it. And yeah, I think it happens if you're just being active and in the zone and recording new episodes all the time and doing things that you find interesting, not just going to where it seems popular because things get popular,
Yeah, definitely.
No, totally. And I know, out of curiosity, both me and Ben were kind of wondering this. You mentioned in one of your podcasts, I think it was actually the one with Sam Newton, that you're really into men's fashion. Are you? I don't know. You did
I don't know what I said there. Maybe I worded it wrong. Did I say that? I would
think
say
you did.
what I was trying to say is I am into like the utility of, I'm into like editing my closet so that, like, as you can see, I normally only wear like a plain t-shirt. I'm into editing my closet so that there's no like waste, and that like I can wear the same pant and shirt like on a podcast, at dinner, or at the gym. So like it's probably like a weird problematic like minimalist thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say you look at like clothes in very much like utilitarian way.
I don't know. It evolves over time.
Yeah.
I think I can't remember the point I was trying to make in the conversation or why it came up. I wouldn't say I'm into it, whereas like I need like some fancy thing, but I think I'm just into generally editing everything and organizing everything in my life, whether it's like I hate having extra like camera equipment, or like if I am to have something, I would rather have like one good thing that will last a long time rather than like 10 different things. And that's just a personal thing. I know lots of people like tons of variety and I don't know, but there's different, like, people criticize fast fashion, like places that just pump out clothes. And also if you look at like back in the day, how clothes used to be made by hand, it'd just be like, you'd have one wool jacket that like somebody's grandma made and it would last like 100 years. Whereas now it's like you buy a new one every year. That's a whole nother conversation, but
it's actually fun. It's actually funny. I forget who we were talking to. We were talking with somebody the other day about they had like a trip to France, I think, and they were talking about how they stayed in this castle where the furniture was 400 years old and still like in perfect condition. And that really like made me, we had a whole conversation about how like there's no, like today's day and age, you think a piece of furniture lasts you like 10 years. You're like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like, I can't believe the craftsmanship here. You know what I mean? Like,
I killed this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, even like you see pictures of like old like stone roads and stuff that were built like thousands of years ago, or even like buildings that were built thousands of years ago. And now like everything's just built really quickly and cheaply, and you can't imagine it lasting like 1,000 years like some old building used to.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, especially when we travel. It's like when like one of our favorite places, just because we absolutely love history, was of course Italy, and it's just incredible. You look at all the buildings and you're like, my God, this has been here for like 2,000 years, and then it's like you come back home and you're just like, oh my God, this building has been here for like 40 years and it looks like shit already. It's like, what's happening?
Very interesting topic.
Yeah.
And I know you were mentioning as well that again, you kind of mentioned today you're super into books. Do you have and again, you kind of were mentioning, right? You have the marketing stuff, the business stuff, which everyone kind of reads, but everybody's like, like, you know, it's like, I don't know if I believe in all of that stuff that they're saying. But what's your favorite genre at the moment, and do you have a favorite book
or author?
Sure, I don't have like one favorite book, but currently I'm really on this rabbit hole of like religious history and stuff. So like just like that's the current rabbit hole I'm really digging into. So I don't know how it's such like a political topic, so I'm just gonna leave it like just studying like, or just like, it's just interesting. There's just so much like so much history behind some of these books and religions, and a lot of, and like how they came together. and like what even like the books are comprised of, or like, you know, stuff like that. So, and believe it or not, there's like tons of, it's a big rabbit hole you can get into.
Oh, yeah, no, I can imagine. I mean, religion's something that's been around since the start of humanity. So that's literally like a never ending rabbit hole.
Yeah. So that's currently what I'm reading. I guess I also have been picking up some chess books.
Oh, but, nice.
We should play a game one time.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to. What's your rating?
My rating? I'm like a 1400. Not bad.
Oh no, you're better than
yeah.
I'm trying to get to I'm trying to get to a 2000 one time in my life, but it's quite hard.
Yeah,
that'd be crazy.
Well, I was actually watching a video of Daniel's the other day, and he plays someone who's like a 1470, and he's like, yeah, so this beginner. I'm like, beginner? 1470? What? That's not a beginner. Like, come on, it's actually, at least.
It's we're probably nerding everyone out, but like actually, yeah, like you think you're so good, like you'd beat like any of your friends at that level, but like I was even watching a video. It was like when a grandmaster plays like a 2000 level player as if they were like a complete beginner. And technically these people are better than, like, if you look at the app, it'll say like you're in like the 90th percentile or the 99th. I think once you reach like 16 or 1700, you're like in the top 1% of players. But then the difference is just so huge from like a couple hundred points at that level. It's quite a waste of time to play chess. It's a really wasteful way to use your energy, but it's fun.
It's fun. It's so addicting. That's the one thing. It's like you start a game and then like no matter if you lose or win, you're like, I want to play another one. It literally just becomes like a casino.
If your brain was a hard drive, like it would just be like tons of large gigabyte footage that you're stuffing in your brain trying
like Ari Alexas.
Yeah, trying to improve. It's like 8K raw footage if you like keep learning a bunch of different openings. And I don't know if there's only so much space in your head. Apparently, maybe this is a relevant point about learning, whether you're learning editing or whatever. It's one of those things where apparently, like, if you didn't start when you were like 8 years old, like it's very rare that someone who started in their late 20s, like myself, would ever become like a master or grandmaster. I think it's only happened a few times. And I think that's why, I always wish I wish I would have started earlier, but I guess I have my editing, which I started as a teenager, and I could be a grandmaster in that.
Exactly. Well, I think it's also true that when you're that young, you have so much more time available to you to just dedicate to something like that. And your mind is in such a spot where like it can just take in so much information at that young age. Like your mind is very malleable. So it's like, yeah, as you get older, you just don't have either the time or that kind of capacity to learn things the same way that you do when you're young. It's why like learning a language is so much easier when you're young than when you get older.
Definitely. So get into your hobbies, especially if you're young listening to this.
Yeah.
Whatever they say, that 10,000 hour rule, there's definitely some truth to it.
Get on it.
Honestly, if you really think about it, like take anybody who's worked for 10,000 hours on anything, it's like they're probably good at what they do, or at least decently good. At least they're at least decent at what they do. Yeah.
I think there's a quote. It's like you can't do everything, but you can do anything, or something like that. Like,
yeah.
You gotta pick, you can't do every single thing, but if you pick some things, maybe you can do them. It'll just take like 10 years, maybe.
Yeah. So
10, 20 years.
So Justin, what's next for you, man? Like what do you got on the go coming up?
I'm really close to 1 million subscribers. I'm at like 940,000. So, and I've just been so busy with different personal stuff that it's been sort of a hiatus for the past 6 months. I've been uploading here and there, but I really want to get back to regularly uploading as we cross that milestone. And then just like always trying different projects, like like I said, maybe I can go through and make a bunch of shorts or quick tip things and try out that format. And maybe I can, get back to the podcast in person. Maybe I can, just all these things. There's always more to keep doing. And like I said, even though I've already taught a lot of stuff, like there's always new audience and new examples and new films and things coming out that I just want to remain up. I want to remain, teaching and staying up to date and connecting with new people and not feel like, I'm already done. I did everything and time to close up the channel. I want to just keep pushing.
Do you have like a 10-year goal or anything like that where you're like, this is kind of what I want to be in 10 years?
I don't really have like super long-term things. I mean, I guess I have goals for I do have goals that I write down, but a lot of them are just personal, family, personal stuff. But
hitting 2000 in chess.
Yeah. I also have other goals, maybe I want to, I think that's another thing. As long as you have the basics, you can be happy in life. I think I've read a criticism or something. It's like we have too much time on our hands to where we can just try to learn Spanish or get better at chess. It's quite a privilege, but I have plenty of goals that'll keep me busy for the rest of my life, whether it's reading all my books or making more videos, getting better at chess, learning, just trying to stay alive.
Just trying to stay alive, man.
Yeah.
Day by day.
Trying to stay alive and do some cool shit while you're at it.
Yeah, that's about a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Well, thanks for being on the show, Justin. We're gonna wrap things up here. And one thing I wanted to say to anybody who's watching, if you guys ever want to check out any tutorials, actually, I'm sure you're probably already familiar with Justin. Are you the biggest actually YouTuber when it comes to
I don't
editing?
know if I'm the number one biggest. Well, because there's different programs Final Cut, and then there's
in Premiere.
I'm definitely up there. I'm one of the top ones for sure. But there's definitely lots of great colleagues. I've had a lot of them on my podcast, and the numbers are changing all the time. Yes, I'm one of the top Premiere, and I have one of the largest catalogs probably too. I have 1,000 videos.
So is there anything else you'd like to say? Get you've I think what was he said on one of your podcasts? You've gone through the torture chamber.
Yeah.
So now what is
no,
there
this was a really fun podcast. Oh, I'm not selling anything, or I'm not on some news show or something. But yeah, if anyone wants, just you can find me on YouTube, Justin Odisho, Odisho, and you can check out all my videos and subscribe for more. And if you want to connect with me too, you can find me on any social media, same thing, or send me an email or something. And yeah, I'd love to help you out in some way or connect if you've made it all the way to the end here.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you all for listening, and thank you for being on, Justin. It was a pleasure, and we're gonna sign off.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, that was a fun conversation.